The peaceful Norwegian coast became a blur of mayhem in that 1 second. John stood numb, his brain refusing to assimilate the impossible scenario being enacted before him. Great, perfectly geometric circles started materializing out of the surface of the water, their exact geometry inexplicable by all natural laws. "Is this real?" he whispered. Panic spread through the hotel in a split second. Guests abandoned their relaxed poses, smartphones suddenly outstretched, capturing the inexplicable phenomenon. Screams of confusion and terror pierced the once peaceful atmosphere. The waters, so pure a minute ago and promising serenity, churned with otherworldly precision, sending shivers down the spine of everyone there. What could be the nature of the force that makes such perfect concentric circles right in the middle of a fjord? What was supposed to be a very quiet holiday now changed into an instant of heart-stopping uncertainty, with everybody asking one dreadful question: what was happening? The sleepy Norwegian town breathed in the quiet Sunday morning tranquility. About 9 o'clock, there were a few guests having their breakfast on the deck of the small hotel, set amidst the serene landscape of the fjord. These peaceful moments would soon break into chaos. A shrill scream lanced through the morning silence. John, a worn-out voyager looking for rest away from a recent burnout, immediately jumped into action. He was followed by his ever-loyal dog and several curious hotel guests. Scanning the distant shore, John noticed 2 small figures, children, in apparent distress. Simultaneously, massive, inexplicable circles began materializing in the water's surface, catching the attention of the other guests. A second scream echoed across the fjord, intensifying the growing tension. Hours earlier, Eric, a 42-year-old father, had embarked on a morning hiking adventure with his children, Bjorn, 9, and Anna, 7. This was a routine expedition, a cherished tradition of exploring nature together. But this day would prove anything but routine. After an hour of trekking, Eric paused to consult his oversized map, momentarily losing track of his children. Bjorn and Anna, adventurous and confident, discovered a steep trail leading toward the water. Believing their father would easily find them, they ventured forward without a word. It was a hazardous path, steep and slippery. The children held on to each other for support on this tough terrain. Suddenly, Bjorn lost his grip, tumbled down, and accidentally pulled Anna with him. Their first scream rang out, a desperate cry of fear and surprise. Eric, upon hearing their distress, began to run toward the sound, but fate had other plans. At the exact spot where his children had fallen, he too lost his footing, sliding dangerously close to the water's edge. Just meters separated them from a potential disaster. John knew this vacation would not be the restful retreat he had anticipated. Something was happening, something that demanded immediate action. The sight down into the depths sent Anna screaming as her fear was instant and palpable. On the other side of the fjord, John was racing against the clock to get a rescue effort mounted. It was only a very old rusty shed from the hotelier from which they drew their last hope, an old abandoned boat. John yelled immediately, and several people hurried toward him to help raise this heavy boat with strained muscles, to install it as quickly as possible into the water. In 10 minutes, the boat bounced in the water, engine raring to go. But destiny had other plans. It just would not start, no fuel. John went into overdrive with improvisations, siphoned the fuel from his car's tank with a long tube and a bucket the owner produced, a desperate solution which entailed a mess besides losing a few precious minutes. Meanwhile, Eric and his children found themselves trapped on a treacherous ledge. Climbing up was impossible, and going down was unthinkable. Something in the water held them frozen with inexplicable dread. The small boat cut through the surface of the fjord, John's determination in every stroke. His loyal dog stood alert, sensing the urgency of their mission. The circles in the water seemed to watch their approach, an unsettling backdrop for a rescue attempt. "Do you speak English?" John shouted. "Are you safe?" Eric replied in a thick Norwegian accent. "We're okay, just gotta get out of here." John's solution was straightforward. "Jump in the water, it's deep. I'll pick you up in the boat." But Anna's reaction shattered that simple plan. Her eyes went round with terror. "Daddy," she whispered, There's a monster in the water. I can't jump." Eric dismissed her words at first. "A monster? What are you talking about?" Then he looked down. The blood drained from his face as realization set in. Whatever was beneath the surface was no figment of a child's imagination. It was real, and it was terrifying. Terror fought with necessity inside Eric's head. The gigantic creature that was hidden deep beneath the water was truly frightening, but his attempt to escape was paramount. He seized a moment that seemed to be far away and flung his bag into the boat, then scooped up Bjorn and Anna and plunged into the water. Temporary relief washed over them for a little while. It was the beginning of frenzied, furious barking, a dog's warning of danger, something terribly wrong. With a sudden lunge of tension, the boat shook ominously. Anna pressed her father tighter, her voice hushed into a trembling whisper. "Daddy, is that the creature?" Suddenly, everything blew into chaos. A tremendous impact tossed the boat, sending shrieks of screams across the fjord. John was able to see something monstrous moving beneath the surface, a whale that was wounded, its huge body colliding with their vessel. The propeller was damaged and the engine silenced. Panic enveloped Bjorn and Anna as the wounded creature circled menacingly. A look of shared desperation was exchanged between John and Eric. The only salvation came in the form of 2 simple oars, their last hope back to safety. The whale went on with its weird antics, periodically rising well out of the water, both threatening and tragic. John felt that this beautiful creature was in great torment. "I've seen it happen once before," Eric said in a low tone, almost choked by memory. "Last time the whale died." Those words triggered something in John, a determination to make that outcome different. They would not be passive onlookers to this marine tragedy. In no time, they drew up a rescue plan. Medical treatment, nutrition, a carefully worked out return to the sea. The works. The survival of the whale became an affair of singular importance. "We can do this," John said, his voice piercing through the residual tension. "We start now." As night began to fall, Eric and John turned into a rescue team. Eric contacted locals in the area, while John contacted marine medical organizations. Their mutual mission of trying to save the young whale took over and guided their activities. They would reconvene the following morning with more specialized help to get an assessment of the condition. Morning broke with a flurry of activity. The medical specialists arrived, and their expertise converged on the beached whale. Mercifully, the young marine creature remained quite docile. Careful examination showed that it was young and helpless. Antibiotics were given, and wounds were treated with precision. The experts found that the whale would need a week's recuperation before attempting to make its way back to the ocean. John became the unexpected guardian, deciding to stay with the lake during the whole recovery period. He followed with great dedication the recovering process of the whale, seeing its strength come back little by little. A week later, the rescue operation reached its most critical moment. The team was there, put together with almost military precision. Foresighted about any possible risks, they had ingeniously adapted their boats, placing protective steel bars around the propellers to avoid any accident that might hurt their marine patient. It began as a delicate choreography, the boats guiding the whale. To the surprise of all, and their great relief, the creature seemed to understand its path home. It followed the boats obediently, as if it knew the protective intention of the humans. Hours passed, and the whale slowly but surely found its way back to the vast open sea. As the last boat turned back, watching the whale disappear into the deep blue horizon, there was a collective sense of triumph, a small but significant rescue against seemingly insurmountable odds.